welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. I am David Eden-Sangwell, and that is
Samuel Bolton.
Yes. On this episode, we're doing something Sam wants to, like we did last week. He's still got my tankard for some reason from the last episode. On this week's show, we're going to talk a little bit about how we taste things. So, myself and Sam have both just recently done the WSET course. If you've never heard of that, listen to last week's episode because I mentioned it. But it's the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, and they have a systematic approach to tasting, which we've both been indoctrinated into their cult just recently. So we are going to taste something we've not tried before in the wrong glasses. And so this is... It's quite special for us actually, because Sam is obviously a massive fan of vermouth, being as he is the vermouth ambassador. 25th of May, by the way, every year is now World Vermouth Day. We've decided we couldn't find another one. If you know of one, let us know. But it's Sam's birthday, so we've decided that's going to be World Vermouth Day from now on.
If not, it'll be International Vermouth Day. We'll find it around.
Yeah, absolutely. These vermouths that we're about to try are Bottega. So you may have seen Bottega around. It's a brand that I personally work with in terms of the really shiny, blingy bottles of Prosecco. Turns out the Prosecco in the bottles is actually really nice as well. It's not just about the look. But these are some vermouths that come from the same house, and neither of us have tried them. They're not really available in the UK. I think there's a couple of bottles of each in the country, and we've managed to get one of each, so we've done quite well. So Sam, let's go through a tasting.
Yeah, so we both did the WSET. I find that their tasting was good. Mm-hmm. It has a very structured approach so that you can literally taste anything. However, it doesn't go product specific. Mm-hmm. So it kind of limits you. If you're trying rum versus vodka, you'll come out with the same results. And
I mean, what I was doing was only really wine. There was a spirits aspect to the course, but there was no tasting of spirits.
See, I was the opposite. I did the level 2 in spirits. You did level 2 in wines and spirits. So, but the approach was still the same, and for me, it didn't quite lend to anything other than wine. Yeah, it doesn't. There's no rigid change in it. So I thought it'd be interesting for us to talk about how we taste things and kind of like how you can too, or how we kind of came across it. So David said the wrong glasses first thing. So actually,
they're not far off the shape of the ISOs.
These glasses were chosen for vermouth. So these are Riedel. These are Riesling glasses. Now, after speaking to the guys at Riedel, a friend of mine who bought me these as a present, these were...
Is he still here?
After speaking to Riedel, they said that these they believed were the best for aromatic wines. Now, there's a big debate on whether the glass matters, whether it doesn't matter, does it work, does it not, does it do anything at all? Science says no. Palates say yes.
There's a brilliant video with Gary Vaynerchuk going through a couple of wines with 7 or 8 different glasses for each, which I will link to in the show notes. And the main reason that I'm saying this is to remind me when I edit it.
Cool. So yeah, like basically this right now, this is the Riedel Riesling glass, which they believe is good. I found it is really, really good for tasting, but I also now taste all of my vermouth in this, so there's no change in that.
Yeah, standardising as much as you can is a really good idea.
David has them, these are slightly chilled. They're not room temperature. Now, normally I choose room temperature personally. I've had many vermouth people say slightly chilled, and I think that's... The vermouth does come out better, but I just like to try it slightly chilled.
I mean, I would point out, these haven't been in a fridge. They were literally just in a cool bag that I also had a bottle of frozen vodka in. That's the only chill there. Yeah, so it's going to be kind of cellar temperature. It's not going to be any cooler than that. It's going to be red wine temperature, I would guess.
I mean, and that's kind of, that's the start. So, well, I'd recommend same glass every time. Ideally something that is tapered inwards. For instance, if you're using like a rocks glass or an old-fashioned glass, you really struggle with that nose. So if you're trying something that's aromatic like wine or vermouth or
obviously a tankard,
a high-end whiskey. Tankard's much better for mead.
Perfect for mead.
Last week's episode. So yeah, I mean, and the reason we chose this vermouth from the lot is because all these here we probably knew of or heard of or had an idea of before we got them. These two, neither of us knew of them.
Never tried.
We've never tried them.
Just take the wrapper off.
They're a wine company, so we thought it was good to go with something that, one, we both know something about as a category, but we don't know this brand or anything like that. For instance, if we were tasting a martini or the Gancia, we might have tried them in the past, or we might have a preconception of what they're like. So these are just interesting to see what it's like. So this is the Bianco. We literally have done no research or anything because we're just going purely on taste now. So
both are at 16% ABV. That's basically all we know.
So if we're going through the Wines and Spirits Education Trusts, first thing we start off with appearance. They would say this is, for me, I'd say this is water white.
It's clear. It's got a slight hint to it of like pale lemon.
Very, very pale, almost like a super pale hay.
Yeah.
Now with spirits, it doesn't really tell you much. For instance, this to me could be like if that was just on the side, that could be water, could be vodka, could be a very, very pale wine, which in this case it will be.
However, I've just got some nose from it from here.
Yeah, so the next thing that which WSET don't talk about for me, but is the effect on the side of the glass. So
legs.
Is it oily? Does it have legs?
Yeah.
And for me, I'd say this is, oily but not overly.
No, it's got some viscosity to it.
Yeah.
So it sticks to the side of the glass, but it's not, it's not coating it.
And then and so next thing to talk about is nose. Now I'm not sure how David done. Every single person has their preference. Again, it's all about standardising. If you like, now I like to get quite close when I smell my things because I know these glasses. If you're swirling like that for wine, it's better. Spirits you don't need to swirl because they're so aromatic and things already because of the ABV content. So
and yet this sits somewhere in the middle of those two.
Yeah, so a little swirl and a smell for me would be enough. So
it's quite pronounced. It's not what I expected at all.
So WSET would ask you on the nose, how pronounced is it? Is it from a scale of, I think it's weak or
it's
subtle?
light, medium pronounced.
Yeah. So pronounced. This is very pronounced to me. Now, also let's talk about the flavours. So for me, I'm getting a lot of lemon.
It's got a mustiness to it. Almost.
A musty kind of. I'm getting a lot of bay.
Mm-hmm. It's like a celery, almost sage as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely sage. These are all quite common things as well from a Bianco Vermouth. So we're nothing out of the ordinary.
It's not shocking.
Yeah, it's not what I would expect, but it smells super clean.
It's quite distinct, isn't it? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Although it's not a million miles away from what you'd expect, it's also not the standard kind of feel to it. Are you trying to analyse the leaves now? On that label?
Yeah, I mean, some nice leaves.
Yeah, some pretty sexy leaves right there.
We're done.
One of the big things that we noticed is this is more like a wine bottle than any kind of spirit bottle that you generally see.
I believe this is a wine bottle.
Yeah. When you look at our selection here, I think the Termion also looks very wine-esque.
Yeah, Termion's quite traditional, I think, and then you've got the Vermouth there, the English one, which again is quite a traditional wine bottle, and then they're all kind of.
But this does look quite Italian wine as well, kind of Chianti-ish looking.
So, let's bite the bullet and taste it.
I guess we should.
So I think the first thing for me is the sweetness. It's definitely a Bianco.
Not an extra dry in it anyway.
It's not an extra dry in any way. I think a lot of extra dries nowadays they're very dry. This is sweet. It's bold. It's
very full flavoured, isn't it?
It's very similar to the nose. Like you know how sometimes you try something and it will change as you try it.
Yeah.
This doesn't. I think the nose is very good at replicating the taste.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a lot of lemon, a lot of sage, a lot of bay, like we said last time.
I get peach as well.
Yeah.
Like fresh peach. It's almost got that kind of furriness when you bite into a peach on the skin. Yeah. It's got that kind of weird, I don't know why, but the mouthfeel kind of reminds me of that.
The mouthfeel's quite nice. I think it cuts the mouth really well. It's thick, but without being syrupy.
Yeah, it's not sugary. It's not sugary sweet. It tastes like it's sweet from the ingredients, other than sweetened sweet.
Length, it's got, I'd say, a medium.
It's not bad at all.
Medium-ish length. It doesn't. It's starting to subside now, but I can still taste what I wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I think the kind of the final bit of the palate, kind of the aftermath, is that kind of peachy but also bay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like a vegetal kind of herbal quality to it. It's not herbal like an Antigua Formula kind of herbal. It's herbal in a leafy way, not earthy way.
Like the things you would use in cooking, kind of leafy.
Yeah. I'm quite impressed.
I really like it. I think it's a cracking Bianco. The sweet, it is sweet, but it's sweet because I think it needs to be, like it's balanced within itself.
Are you getting any kind of age characteristics at all, or is it
like very slight oakiness?
Yeah,
but I've almost not there. But
yeah, there's just hints, isn't there? That was what I was just thinking. I don't know if it's got any age to it, but I think there's enough clues there that it might have seen a barrel at some stage.
I won't be surprised. Or could be a blend which has had an aged.
Bearing in mind that Bottega's main thing is producing Prosecco, so in that case they're using steel tanks. They're not going to have a massive stock of barrels from that process, at least.
I mean, I would love to read the back to you, but it's all in Italian.
I would love to hear you read it to me in Italian.
That's the end of that.
We will see if we can get some translation of some of it for us.
Shouldn't be a problem.
But so not a bad start at all.
The bottle does say ricotta original.
Okay.
Which I like ricotta. So
ricotta pasta, yeah.
I'm expecting to
absolutely
like these
delicious.
As much. Okay, so next one up is the Rosso. Again,
we're not aware of an extra dry that they do, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, we have zero understanding.
What we have is this amount of knowledge. We have literally what is in front of you.
Yeah, we have Italian written bottles with no translator.
So I would say this is a lighter colour than a lot of Sweet Vermouth.
Yeah, I mean the colour straight away with I mean
it's that amber kind of.
I'd say it's ruby, more kind of ruby, even a brownish tint.
Yeah, it's more orangey, isn't it? So,
I think kind of burnt orange.
Okay, we can go with that.
Yes, carrying on with our tasting. So again, we've used the same glass. I mean, we ideally would have stored them up, but for the sakes of not editing,
the magic
we're not
of TV.
So yeah, we're going to go on appearance, as we've said, kind of like a dark red. Yeah, amber.
It's
burnt
clear
orange.
though. It's not in any way kind of sedimenty.
Yeah, there's no sediment,
or misty or anything like that. I've just got a whiff of the nose, and it's pretty nice. And again,
so
not what you generally get.
So I think nose is really, really nice.
It's very soft,
but quite predominant at the same time. Like soft but herbaceous.
It's like all the edges are rounded. Which suggests to me it could have had some age to this.
But also that
maturity.
It's very well made.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if, we don't know how it's made, but the final product says...
You want to taste some of this?
I'm enjoying the nose right now. Like,
No, I was talking to April.
No, she can't.
She don't want to play?
She's not allowed to play.
Okay.
Yeah, I think fantastic nose.
That's
herbaceous,
really good,
lemony. You get the kind of like it's herbal, but it's also
got
citrusy.
Tea notes to it. It's like verbena tea, I think.
Or Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, maybe.
And
people outside, shut up. We're filming. Have you tried it already?
I did.
You can talk while I taste it then.
So, for me, you get this herbaceous hit, and it's not overly sweet. It's definitely less sweet than the Bianco, but you get this dominant bitterness on the aftermath, like, and I think which is really, really nice. Like, I think if it had dialed that down, it might be a bit flat, but that complexity starts to come through with that bitterness.
Tell you what this tastes like to me. Baked goods, like
I'll tell you what this tastes like to me.
Baked, like cherry bakewells, but not in the amaretto kind of way. You know, like the...
It's like without the almond.
Yeah, it's...
Like a baked cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with... like, I can taste pastry as well.
So anybody... Is cherry bakewell's an English thing, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. But it's... Yeah. It's... There's a lot of cherry to it, but it's dry and it's like it's got that flaky pastry over it. Or like, so English it's untrue. Eccles cake.
Oh...
Do you know what I mean? It's like the dried fruit in there.
I haven't had an Eccles cake in years.
But you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like raisins.
It's like you get that.
It's like mincemeat. It's like what we were saying with Via when we talked to Dana, whose name I can now say. It's really that. That's Eccles cake.
Because you get that kind of flaky pastry, sweet pastry though, but with that kind of old fruit kind of.
It's got
dark, old,
it
sugary
really
fruit.
smells like age. This has got to have some age to it.
I don't know.
Or
I got the aged more from the first one. I get a lot of. I think this has got a lot of bitter aspects, which sometimes I think can be perceived as aged.
Yeah. Okay.
I think like I mean, again, going off the plants on the front, which I've now noticing is identical to this one. That tells me nothing then.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
But I like it.
It's definitely got a mince pie aftertaste. We need to distribute mince pies to the world so they know what we're talking about.
They do, we keep coming back to them.
It's like a spiced dried fruit
concoction put into a pie.
And then dusted with sugar.
Sugar.
I don't know why the rest of the world has not caught up with us.
You have it with
Get away fly.
Bailey's cream at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's kind of
you do.
It's kind of that and Christmas pudding.
You just stockpile pumpkin spice Bailey's because
I didn't last year, but I will be this
year. Such a basic.
So I think that kind of concludes.
Yeah, it's not a massively long podcast or video or however you're consuming this, but
gives you an idea.
Yeah.
Gives you an idea of how we taste. So appearance. So starting with glassware, then you look at the appearance, then the smell, then the flavour
aromas
profile,
if you're
the aroma if you fancy.
Yeah.
Then the flavour profile, the aftermath.
Good use of profile. That's an absolutely. I always think the word profile in there is absolutely useless. Because it just means it's a longer way of saying flavour.
It's the flavour profile though. I didn't write the rule book.
I always think that just nearly killed the ranking can. I always think that just points out that people just want to sound more clever than they are. But then
so the flavour profile. Yeah, it's important to talk about.
Okay, next.
Yeah, well, I think that concludes this part of our tasting session.
Was there anything else you wanted to taste now? We good?
I think we're good.
We're good. Thank you for joining us for, again, another BartenderHQ.com podcast where we've not bothered changing our clothes. So it looks very much like the last one did. However, we have changed the sign. Sam, if people want to find you on the internets...
I'm on Instagram and Facebook at the Vermouth Ambassador.
You are. And if you put BartenderHQ into most things, you will find me. If you put it into Instagram, you'll be sadly disappointed and need to add the word pics to the end, and then you will find us. Until next time, this has been your BartenderHQ.com podcast.